Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time, more conversations to come. The final conversation for today is about money, all right? So we all know what we need to deal about, to think about when it comes to money, but we don't.
We don't really.
We don't.
We all know, but we don't. Okay?
Yeah, we don't. I think it would be interesting to just unpack what our money habits are as Kenyans. Because money is broad. Money is savings, money is investment, money is a lot of the things that our Thinkfluencer, who is in the studio, is going to tell us about. But it comes down to money habits. And so Ivy, who has done incredible work on amplifying messages just around rethinking money, I think in many ways has disrupted the money conversation because it's diversifying it now to even how AI comes into it. And so she joins us in studio. She is the founder of the Mover Society Kenya, and she'll tell us more about who she is and what she does. And we'll be talking to her in just a moment.
Ivy, how are you?
I'm super. How are you?
She's
Relax.
side-eyeing.
I don't know how to.
Just
Can you tell the tension in my
No, you're fine.
just be easy.
You're easy.
Ivy makes money for a living.
Right? Oh, that's a great
Makes money for a
introduction.
living and talks
Boom.
money for a living.
Yeah.
Talks money for a living, makes money for a living.
Yes.
Thinkfluencer versus influencer.
What's a Thinkfluencer?
Just, I mean, it's a brand. It's branding. I just didn't want to be called an influencer, so I wanted to be different. So I like to create thought-provoking content. So I think fluence. Yeah, but it's branding really. It's differentiation.
You influence
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
You're a thought leader.
Yes.
It's a good thing. And you've been doing this particularly on the money issue for a number of years. How long?
I can say 5 years now.
5 years?
Yeah.
Billionaire. Billionaire. Billionaire.
From your
See
lips.
how you see
From
money.
your
You
lips
see
to God's
money.
Oh, God.
Money.
Oh, God.
Look, rangi ya thao. Now, Ivy.
Yeah.
So Janet is going to give you a quote.
Okay.
All right? And just listen to the quote. Listen, she'll give you a couple of hints here and there. And it's just not as a test,
Yeah.
but because it'll thinkfluence you.
This sounds scary.
I know. It's
Oh, it's not at all.
the moment. It's because of how we've been socialized as Kenyans to take tests and exams.
Right.
I'm like-
it's a
Yep.
very anxiety.
It's very
triggering
anxiety.
trauma.
And it's supposed to be that way. They say you have to, you need to get this right. But no, we think this is important because it just gives us just some insights into nuggets that some of the people who've really just paved the way for many things in this world have said. This particular person, I know she remains one of my favorite, sort of like empowerment and embodiment of empowerment.
Yeah.
And the hints that I gave is that she's a pioneer on conversations around the environment. And she was always about agency. She was always about doing something for yourself or doing your part in the bigger picture. And so the quote is, "It's the little things that citizens do. That's what will make the difference. And my little thing is planting trees." Who said that?
The great late Wangari Maathai.
That's correct. The great late Wangari Maathai.
What
iconic.
gave it away? Is it that you remember the speech?
No, environment, planting trees,
Well,
pioneer.
I feel like you've asked that with sarcasm. Like, gee, what gave it away?
Like, what was the clue?
We'll work on the hints better, guys. We're fixing as
No,
we go
they're good.
along. We
I love
asked
the
the
hints.
previous, the guest before this, but what is your little thing, would you say? Is it the conversations that you hold? What's your little thing?
My little thing that does what?
What's your little thing? Like she said, my little thing is planting trees. What's yours?
To fix the nation.
Yes.
Yeah, I could say my little thing is practicing openness in terms of discussions, being vulnerable. I think that I could say that would be my little thing. Yeah, being vulnerable about money and the topics that it is that I want to put out there. So yeah, without overthinking that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good because people have been afraid to talk about money.
Right.
Maybe that's where we can start. It was shrouded in fear, suspicion, lack of knowledge, and sometimes when you don't know, you're ashamed to admit that you don't know. How did you see an opportunity or a gap to say, you know what, I want to dive into this, learn, teach, share, because I can see this gap? What was that gap? And how did you then come in and say, I want to play my part?
Okay, before I say anything, I have to be very, very clear that I come from a point of privilege. How I grew up is not how very many Kenyans grew up. And you need to say some of these things before you start speaking because you could have offended a few people. You have to give context, okay? Years ago, during COVID, I was doom scrolling quite a bit. And I realized I'm spending so much time on various applications and it was not adding value to me. Years ago, also in employment, I realized that nobody spoke about money the way it needed to be spoken about, and I wanted to be wealthy. So I realized there was a gap in the market. Everybody's spending time here, but there's no value being added. So I started creating content around healthy and fun money conversations, because that's the thing about money. You think about it, and it's very drab, it's very constricting, it's very, tense. And that actually even goes back to show how you grew up, because how you relate with money really goes back to how you grew up, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So I just noticed a gap, and I was like, let's talk about it. It was very selfish. I wanted to make money, I wanted to be rich, I wanted to be wealthy. So I turned my online platforms into learning centers, and voila, here we are a few years later. I've become Miss Money Monday.
Miss Money Monday.
It's awesome.
And we'll talk about Money Mondays in just a little bit. But the thinkfluencing part for me is its impact, and in ways that are so tangible. Sometimes when you're removed from your audience, it's a bit hard to feel them. But to give like a little context, I bumped into Ivy like about a month ago, and this was just when we're getting in conversations. We're already in conversations about how to fix the nation, and I was like, there's this thing. I really hope it works out. I really hope it works out. And she was like, it's gonna work out. It's gonna work out.
I can't believe it. Look at it. It's so incredible to see you here.
And it's such a full circle
I love
moment.
that.
Yeah.
But I want to know, are there conversations that you have with the movers, and then they come full circle? And full circle doesn't mean I'm rich overnight, but a movement here and there, and you're like, Ivy, girl, you done did it. You moved the needle a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know if I can say I have those conversations. I can't speak for movers. I can speak for myself.
Okay.
Most of the time, each conversation I have on Money Monday prompts me to act. Me. I can only encourage other people to do it. But when someone tells me interest rates are going down, so you need to think of equities, I move. Because I owe it to myself and I owe it to my community to actually show that we are moving. We are movers. You can't be stagnant. So I can't speak to other people. I do get feedback where, Ivy, I started saving money because of you, or Ivy, you're the first person to ever teach me about a money market fund, and this time I had no idea what those were. But honestly, again, I'll go back to the selfishness. Those people move me. And it's incredible what people teach you when you just give them a chance.
It's about fixing our money. But
Yeah.
I always move back into this. And from all the conversations that you have with your Money Mondays, and even every day that people are reaching out to you, what is your perception? Do we have a financially literate society in Kenya?
No. Sort of. We have a very high financially inclusive. I have to be very correct. I get anxiety from that. Financial inclusion is at an all-time high. That's what I can say. That means people are hungry and they're seeking out knowledge, and that means the mobile phone has opened up a world of possibilities. Are we where we need to be? No. For example, savings rate in Kenya is at around 4%. Usually an economy needs it to be at around 15 to 17% for it to thrive.
Yeah.
But we are getting there. What I can say about Kenyans is we are hungrier than ever. And I don't know if it's because of reliving trauma, because of certain things that I can't mention here, but we are hungrier than ever, and that is extremely encouraging, which means you will find more views on content around money than ever before. You will find more questions being asked, and you're finding more people becoming banked. You're finding more people investing, asking the right questions. We're not there yet in terms of financial literacy, but also this is just the pool of the few people that I speak to.
This is how I look at it. So yes, there's now access to information about money.
Yeah.
People are making money, but that does not necessarily equate to financial literacy.
No.
Because as we are going to discuss our habits with money,
Yeah.
we'll just basically point to us on how our financial literacy is. Throughout the various generations, there's a generation of independence that was, getting into this and buying land because land buying was the thing. It has continued up to now. But then some things have changed. They went into buying shares. And there's a generation that was just in buying shares and, just buying shares in those companies, never visited the place. Just here, I have shares in Kakuzi. Don't even know where Kakuzi is. I have shares in Barclay. Don't know what, just know I have shares in this bank, and they send me some money at the end of it, right? And there's a generation that was trying to do that. But it was a small group of people that was buying shares and a bigger group of people that was doing other things financially. So people want to do something with money.
Yeah.
But the decision-making on what to do with your money points to a lack of financial literacy. Because you're just looking at, aliweka pesa wapi?
It's the trendy thing. It's a trendy place.
Nikiwa
I
na
think, to
100k
money.
niweke wapi
Go.
alafu so, you know what can give me a
Yes.
return of this much. Nikiwa na this much, what should I invest in? Ni buy hiyo shamba wapi? Only buy Kamulu. Okay.
Let's
I'm
all go.
inside.
Right now, the FUD is money market funds. Everybody's MMF this, MMF the other, MMF this there. Okay, so why? Which MMF is working? So this one has 14%, the other one has 11%, the other one.
Is it necessarily a financial literacy question, would you say? Because maybe it's just in line with where it makes sense to invest at that time, with how the economy is doing,
can I
what the
throw it
options
back?
are.
The sense beat is the literacy beat.
I want to ask
For many
very
people,
true.
it's
what-
making sense
what financial
because others are
literacy
doing
is.
it. Because
That's
that's
very
the
true.
information that you have now.
Okay. I want to ask her what her definition of financial literacy is,
Yeah.
so that we can have a baseline, and then we see like where we're at.
Yeah.
What's a financially literate person?
For me, someone who understands money, savings, debt, credit, investment, someone who understands the principles and how money works, in particular how money works for them. That for me is what a financially literate person is, which is why I agree with Eric when he said, is it a fad or is it, putting money here? You can only know what makes sense for you, because it's also very personal at the time if you seek out knowledge on understanding money.
True.
And which is also how I started my career on this particular space. I realized that I wanted to be wealthy, but I had no idea how. I didn't know how money worked. So that's what I would define a financially literate person to be. And let me just say, I'm very glad that the fad is money market funds, because a few years ago it was saving the money in the bank and people did not know it was doing nothing for them. People did not know that when you put money in a bank with 2% interest rates, you're actually losing money because of inflation. Now, I didn't even know any of these things. So when you understand these little principles here and there, you become more and more financially literate. So sense is sensible in the wider picture and not just because everyone else is putting money in a money market fund.
I like how you've gone back to saying it's personal.
Yeah.
That hit, because you could be following this trend. It's doing nothing for you.
Yeah.
Is there a no? I think you've already touched on it. I'm trying to think about the mindset shift that needs to happen for people to save more.
Yeah.
First of all, let's start from whether or not, because I think sometimes people are like, do I survive?
Yeah.
Or do I save?
Yeah.
Is there a place where these two things can hold truth together? And what does that look like? So do you think there's a mindset shift that's needed for people to take saving more seriously?
3,000%. And I want to challenge you guys when I speak about this particular thing. When I started trying to figure out money, I did not realize that I had to heal a lot of money trauma from my past. So when I went into my learning, I discovered that we grew up in 4 money houses. The one is the unaware house. No one talks about money. It's not necessarily a bad thing. So you're not sure where it comes from. It's like being on a boat, a party boat, and you don't know where it's going. You don't know who's leading it. That's an unaware
You don't know
house.
the DJ.
You don't know
who's
anything, and
serving
you don't
the
care,
drinks.
and you don't want to
What's
ask
the
difficult
vibe?
questions because you don't want to rock the boat.
Okay.
So you're unaware.
Vibes and inshallah.
Vibes and inshallah house. In fact, that's a good one. The other one is the unstable house. You have very, very, very high highs and very, very low lows. So you could see your parents one day, you're cashing it in, you're going on vacation, the next time you cannot pay the bills. The other one is a fearful house. You're afraid money will leave you. You're afraid of debt. You're afraid of the discussions, and usually you're afraid of the tension. And you'd be very, very surprised that coming from a fearful house, you might even become an overspender. You might think hoarding is an automatic thing, but you can even become an overspender because
Now that I have
it, I have to show that I have it. And then finally, there's the stable house. And when I say the stable house, doesn't mean that you're wealthy. I don't mean you're rich. I don't mean you're wealthy. I just mean it's a healthy environment. As a child, you're involved in the decision making when it comes to money. Big decisions are made, and you're aware. So those types of houses. Once you understand where you came from, you'll understand your money habits, and then you'll chart a way forward to change them. So I can't come here and tell you guys, think big, abundance, but you have no idea that watching your dad cry over debt because you're being kicked out of the house has affected how you will start saving money. Which houses did you guys grow up in?
So the houses again.
Yeah.
I know.
Stable house.
The stable
Yeah.
house.
Fearful house.
Fearful
Yes.
house.
Where's the boat one? It's called?
There's the unaware house, which is the party boat.
Okay.
And then there's the unstable house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You hold these conversations on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And you ask people, just share your ideas, share your expressions, share your views.
Yeah.
Where do you think a majority of the people are?
Fearful.
So they're in the fearful house.
And they become avoidant, so they don't want to talk about it. Which is why you guys saw recently one of my favorite content creators trending, because they were showing how much they spent on their hair.
Yeah.
A lot of us projected our fear.
We literally said, we'll talk to Ivy about that.
Right.
Didn't we say
We
that?
did.
We said we'll talk to Ivy
Yeah.
about, because, about that. But sorry, you were saying.
Yes, we're projecting. How could you spend that much on? How could you spend that much on hair and skin and no, as opposed to what's allowing her to do X and Y,
Exactly.
and be okay.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So the mind shift is now a very, very, very difficult thing. But once we know, okay, I come from unaware, I come from fearful, I come from stable, what is then the next step? How do you heal whoever that was so that I can now move into a place where my relationship with money is it's at a good place, where
Yeah.
we're at a healthy,
Yeah.
little thing.
I mean, there's different facets for the different homes, but there's clear there's a clear way for you to start financial literacy. And I don't mean, you could pick up a course, like Move for Society, we have a course, yeah? You could pick up a course, you could pick up a book, go to YouTube and get a free video. But put yourself in a position to learn how money works. Let's start there. 2, after you start that, you'd find yourself embracing conversations around money more. If you're the type of person where if you're sitting somewhere and you're speaking to your partner or your mother or whoever, and a money conversation makes you feel anxious, once you start learning about money and you embrace these conversations, you will know first you're speaking to baby Janet. And you remember baby Janet grew up in a fearful house, so you'll probably even give her more grace, okay? And give yourself more grace, okay? Then after that, practice what you have learned. That's one of the easiest money habits I could say. Be disciplined enough to learn, okay, I need to save a little bit from each and every amount I make. Practice it. Just try. You have nothing to lose, okay? And then forgive yourself. I always tell people, forgive yourself for your past money mistakes. And your past money mistakes could be you spending your money badly. Your past money mistakes could be you getting a terrible wife or a terrible husband. Your past money mistake could be you getting into terrible, terrible debt. If you don't start from a point of forgiveness, you cannot move from there. Yeah.
It really goes back to, I don't know how equipped we are, I think we're getting better at it, to that self-audit that I'm always talking about. I think I overdo meetings with myself. I need to figure out how to space them out more. But I get the sense that especially where we are right now as Kenyans, not to state in a blanket way, people really are on survival mentality, which sometimes, again, leads to sort of like erratic money habits, because sometimes people throw money to fix a problem.
Yep.
Just let me just put this there so that so-and-so can stop bugging me about it so that I can, whatever it is. And so sometimes I wonder how we can encourage that moment to extend grace. And also just speaking to validating that, yeah, we're living in erratic and stable times. I don't know what to do. I have 100K. I just want to hold on to it because I know this could be the lifesaver. So speaking to those two, extending grace, I don't even know if it's in our culture. We're only now learning boundaries, you know?
Right.
We're only now.
Let alone grace.
How do we begin to navigate that, to just normalize a culture of, it's okay, just jiangalie, it's not that bad. And then how do we make peace or hold that truth of, there's a lot going on around me. With this money that I have, I just kind of want to hold on to it. And yet that could be stopping me from making an incredible investment.
Yeah.
Just before you go in, could I just add a little, the fact that for so many people, the pay slip, the take home, the whatever, just does not make sense for living, let alone saving, investing.
Very true. So I'm here to tell Kenyans, yeah, these are definitely unprecedented times. It's tough. It's tough, and because the times are so tough, definitely it is very, very tough to save. So let me speak to, on the immediate, if you're feeling like you're living paycheck to paycheck, what it is that you can first do. Track. People say they're living paycheck to paycheck so they can't save, but what is that paycheck? Where is that money going to? So if you tracked those expenses, you would give yourself grace in knowing, I really don't need to buy that 5 bob mandazi in the office every day. I could figure out another way to survive. So track. Once you've tracked and figured out where your money is going, now direct it to flow where it's supposed to flow by using a budget. People do not like the word budgeting. I personally do not like the word budgeting. I prefer intentional spending, conscious spending. But at the end of the day,
Budget sounds like you've done this.
exactly.
You know. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're on a budget.
And I would ask you, Mariam, to question why you feel that way. Go back to your house. Go back to your house. Why are you feeling this way when you hear budget? Why aren't you feeling that it's free?
Yeah.
Because we say if you don't tell your money where to go,
Because
your
when
money
someone
will.
tells you they've put you on a budget.
Exactly. Exactly. I think we have that as well.
Right.
Track, budget, and then we said amplify discipline. Then the thing with Kenya is we need safe spaces to speak to and to talk about money. So my mindset around money could be extremely offensive to someone who has not done the self-work to figure out why they can't survive when I am thriving. So it is not my time to go to Eric when Eric is struggling and tell him, oh my God, I just got funding of $5 million and I'm going to buy a house. He's not a safe space. And he will think I'm bragging and he probably will not, whatever. Find people who have high interest in your success and high influence in the journey to get there as well. So surround yourself with safe spaces when it comes to money.
High interest in your success and high influence
to get
help
you
get you there.
Yeah.
That is a ikigai of people. It's a confluence there. I see the two diagrams coming together.
One day,
Yeah, I think we have nuggets. Ivy, we'll be quoting you.
Oh, I love it.
We'll be
Please.
like, who said that? Who said, find that home, find your home.
Yeah.
Barbara Kariuki agrees. I firmly believe in starting with addressing financial trauma because fixing that will help with establishing a healthy financial habits. Robert Codingo says Fixing the Nation should be addressed as a podcast and other platforms like Spotify. Yes, we agree. Amos Ngahu says kudos Ivy, and he agrees with you. These are the fixers who are joining us online on YouTube. Others are on Facebook, others on TikTok, others on X, others on IG. And the conversation we're having this morning with Just Ivy is on money. Let's make sense of it. It's our money habits. So I've been seeing some conversations, some rather crucial debates, interesting debates online. So the first one is that one by Murugi.
Yeah.
On how much
she
spends on her, what did you call it?
Maintenance.
It was maintenance.
It was maintenance week.
Maintenance.
Yeah, maintenance week.
Is that right? Okay, so how much she spends on maintenance? Okay. And then I also saw another one where somebody was saying, with a salary of 100,000 shillings, what car should I buy? And there were all these comments and
saying that you should not
buy
on
and
a
somebody
car.
said, with 100 G's, boss, you should not even be thinking about
dreaming
a car,
of a car.
right?
Yeah.
You should be thinking of this and the other. What are those things that should be helping somebody think about their spending habits?
I think thinking about your spending habit, it's not bad to spend money that you've made and you've worked hard for. One of my mentors always tells me, Ivy, you have to enjoy your money in this lifetime. That's fine. If you're living beyond your means, now that's the problem. If at the end of the month, the thought of a bill is finishing you spend too much. If seeing Murugi online is going to prompt you to now start spending 34 Gs, that is a problem. You're being directed by a fear of missing out as opposed to a clear budget and alignment. So are you living beyond your means? If you have absolutely nothing left at the end of the month, now that's what I would tell you to figure out your spending, because you need to have breathing room. If you don't have breathing room, then you're really living on the edge, and that's not a safe place to be. So that's what I would tell people. The other thing, there are certain principles that we like to put in place in the finance world, which I don't really think of. Because, for example, when you say 50, 30, 20 saving rule, it assumes that your income is stable. I come from my income is not stable. There are months I will make literally 0 shillings, and there are months I will make millions. So I save based on how I earn. So I save first, then I spend. And that's the third principle I want to tell people. If not for anything else, let's not focus too much on spending. Let's focus on paying ourselves first before we spend. So you might be looking at this person who says, I have an income of 100 Gs, what car should I buy? You don't know what kind of savings this person has put aside to be able to buy that car. And I think we say we also with cars, if you can't buy it cash, you probably might not be able to afford it. Maybe not, okay? Then the other thing, I think I've forgotten it, but yeah. Sorry, 100K, Murugi. Yeah, it's just basically you don't understand how Murugi aligns or puts aside her money for her to be able to say that I can spend 34 Gs on maintenance. You don't understand how much she earns. You don't understand her various income streams. What you know is 34K is too much for you. That's fine. Give yourself grace and then budget for the money that you do have. And don't feel the pressure.
And you can do a version of your own maintenance
Yeah.
in a way that you're able to maintain it.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to bring it back to like, I'm thinking of a young person listening who wants to be good with money.
Yeah.
Best of intentions.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just not mathing. How do they move from a place of I am holding my head above water to a place of I can now invest, I can think about savings, etc. Because sometimes some amounts are just literally quite too little to, you know, be thinking, okay, I can be investing in this and that. Or is there no amount that's too little in your view to be thinking about savings and investments?
Oh, no, I'm not here to invalidate anyone. I truly have been in places where I was not able to save myself. So sometimes that is the reality. That is the reality. However, there are platforms, for example, like Tunes, that allow you to save as little as 5 shillings. So if you can't make 5 shillings, then go back to how you're spending your money. Where is this money truly going? And why are you just above
Head
water?
above
What exactly is going on? Those are the two things that I would say. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, that is also the time to employ survival strategies. If you've been buying something at 10 shillings, how can you get it to 8 shillings? How do you make more money? So you're clever, you're smart. Can you sell some photos? Can you create a course on Canva? You have to let go of the shame and figure out ways to beg, borrow, or steal. No, don't steal. But you have to figure it out. So there's something that has to give for you to be able to make more money. And here's the thing: when it comes to savings, you'll never save your way to wealth, but you can earn your way to wealth. So figure out how to make more money. And I know it's easier said than done. Ivy, everyone always tells us diversify your income, but there's certain ways to do it, guys. There is. Eric, come on.
Yeah. Those who've done it will always tell you, you can do it. It's easy. Come on. Joshua Martin says, though, that it's an essential conversation, especially in the state of how our country is right now. Let's have a conversation about money. And that's why we have Just Ivy from Just Ivy Africa, founder of what?
The Mover Society.
Yeah, and she's joined the Fixer Society. We'll be back shortly after this break. We'd like to hear from you. How financially sound are you? What are your thoughts and habits about money? Any questions that you can have? If you're one of those who'd like to know, okay, so I have 20K. With 20K, surely, can I really start saving? Naanzia kusave sasa 20,000. Wewe shika. Nionyeshe ile utasave. We'll ask those questions after this break. Keep it here. Very much for keeping it locked on Nation FM, on NTV, on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere where our fixers are joining us. We thank you. Kimani says this is a great conversation. Financial literacy is a must for everyone. Developing a saving and investment habit is not easy. Keep fixing the nation. I love it. What are your habits, Janet?
What are my habits?
I'm not fixing you. I'm just.
I mean, you are, but I'm used to it. This is a safe space. It's okay, Eric and Mario.
We listen.
We
don't judge. Let me get into my safe space inside. My habits were very, they were in order. I had a very clear line of how I was going to spend and invest and enjoy. And then I kind of had to shift all that when life forced me to start over. And then thankfully, I was so happy that I was able to tap into savings and investments that I didn't realize I'd already started building to the point where I could start over. So for a while, it was survival, spending. And then now it's kind of beginning to settle where I can begin to say, okay, where do I need to? Conversations like this are where I'm moving to. Okay, Janet, this is what you have, this is what you make. What works for you now? What trend do you need to avoid, close your eyes to because you're not there yet? And how do you also just maintain that, just being able to say, enjoy what you're making? One of the things I like to do is go to the cinema with my sons. And it may sound small. For me, that's a joy because it's a few thousand shillings. It's a movie, it's popcorn, it's candy, it's bonding. It's become one of my favorite things to do. So even allowing myself to say the little joys. Right. So my habit is evolving, but I think it's evolving in the right way, I believe. Yeah.
Sounds good.
What about for all of you? Let me fix Mariam, fix Eric.
Fix Mariam. No, because I was thinking, and I know it's something I've been trying to consciously unwork over the last maybe 2 or so years. Yeah. But there's a beaver in me that likes to hoard, the saver. So good at saving, but didn't really know much about investing. And because you don't know, it becomes scary and big and difficult, as opposed to when you do have information. Now it's something, it's doable, and I'm getting there slowly, but it's an active, movement. But like by my very nature, I can hoard, I can put aside, I can I can cut down my expenses.
Yeah.
But now thinking of how do I grow this, that was a completely different.
And is it cutting for a rainy day
shift.
or just
For a rainy day,
for a rainy day?
sure. Because you never know when the rainy day is. But it's also because growing up, it was save, save, save. Don't
Yeah.
just spend,
Yeah.
save. Don't just spend, save. And then it's, okay, then what next? How do you, grow the money, as opposed to having a nest egg that the bank is using to make really, really good money on your savings. And then it's like, what are your savings doing for you, right? Yeah. The next phase now, that was a shift. Because now you have to let go, you have to be open to risk, and that's quite difficult. Eric?
It's not an easy one. I mean, and for many of us, we're in that house where you are afraid of doing things.
Yeah.
And it's because, and that's why I started the question about financial literacy for people. It's because we do not have money conversations. You don't grow up having money conversations. Even when you're having money conversations, you're told, no, there's not enough money. You've got to save, right? So the money conversation in the broad sense of save so that then you grow it, so that, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
If the farthest it goes is save. So we start from that moment of I save, and then you ask yourself, so, and what is this saving? And then, just going in the fads, it's now IPO season. So going to IPO, Safaricom IPO, Kenjan IPO, Mumia Sugar IPO. So what IPO? Put in money and then you realize, okay, so, it's just so you can sit down, guys, and say,
Nikona shares, Kenjan?
Shares. Tunanunua ngapi? And then going into the next session where it's a season of just land and land acquisition. And it's just, it's not land for what? It's land.
It's land. Don't ask the why,
Eric,
just do it.
you're such a tricky guy.
You
didn't give us your actual
I am
money.
giving.
This is you.
Yes,
Okay.
it's those,
Okay.
It's the
So-
context
it's
and
going
going
into
in.
the
Oh,
season.
all right. Because I thought you
What
had...
I'm saying is,
Okay.
I'm a reflection of very many.
That's fair.
Going to land, and then you get to a point in your hand. So what's all this? What's all this about? Okay, I now am very keen on having those conversations about. So, what's money? What do you do with money? Saving is just a word.
It's one part of it.
It's just a word. But saving is saving where and saving how. Because investing is a saving. When you're saving, you're investing, it's growing. How do you make the decision? How do you interrogate yourself and see, is it making sense? At what point do you cut and say, okay, this one, make the decision to walk out? At what point do you say, no, it's for the long haul. You keep it there and see. And then you get your fingers burnt, And I want to take it back into, it is where we need to be having our savings conversations is at primary school level.
Before.
Before.
Right at home, but properly structured in school. School is structured. So so you have a lesson for English, you have a lesson for this, you have a lesson for business,
should
you
be
should have
one.
a lesson that actually talks about all these options for those kids. So they start getting, a whole different, relationship with money. And relationship with money for them is, so I've got this money, I can save here, or I can make money here, or I can invest here, or I can try this and the other. By the time these guys are in high school, they already have a better and clearer awareness of money because it was taught to them properly and structured. In fact, even examine them.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was going to say, generally the word around money across the board is a shame. It's shrouded in secrecy and shame, whether there was a stable, whether there was a fear. So that's an interesting reflection, but you wanted to comment on what Eric said.
Yeah, I wanted to say the way kids work, I don't know, Eric, you have kids? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, is they watch you. They watch you in two ways. They hear what you say, so they hear how you speak about money. So if you're the dad who constantly says, money doesn't grow on trees, we can't afford that, they hear that and they absorb that. And the other way they watch you is by seeing how you react to money conversations. What are the emotions around money? So people have been paid pomp and humor, and then after bills have been paid, it's just dullness. And I feel like the foundation for kids, we have a mandate as parents to kickstart their journey as early as 3, because they see how we spend before the teacher can come and tell them, this is how you have to save. If they've never seen you saving and you've never had a conversation with this child to tell them, this is 1,000 shillings, Kenya shillings. We are putting this aside because at the end of the month, you want a toy. If before then you're late for school, we remove 300 shillings from here so that we can pay back the transport of me taking you, like if you miss the bus. So if they're not familiar, I don't know if we can leave it to a teacher. 100%.
They'll start understanding.
3-year-olds understand a lot more than you think.
But here,
Yeah.
Ivy, the problem and the challenge is that you're dealing with 2 people.
Yeah.
2 sets of people. Okay? Easier route, deal with 1 set of people. This next generation, the alphas, they're in school. Start teaching them properly structured. Because at home, we're already trying to get out of this house that you put it in. And you move. It's going to take, there are those that will be lucky that they start having these conversations at home, okay? There are those that will, take the bull by the horns and now say, okay, I'm making my own financial decisions, or as a home, we're making these decisions, so now we are more open to talk about it. But the truth is, a majority of Kenyan homesteads will not have that conversation tonight. And those children are growing. But our education ministry can say, and the KICD, Kenya Institute for Curriculum Development, can say, 2027, we are introducing money in our curriculum. Those kids will start coming home and saying, teacher said, I ask you how you make your money.
That's
They'll
interesting.
Start influencing us.
That's interesting.
Teacher said, I ask you, when you make 100, can you give me 20? I save. Teacher said, they will start that and they will force the parents to ask, okay, so now this money conversation now, it's okay, now we can start having this money conversation.
Perfectly in line with
Challenging us.
CBC, actually.
Interesting.
Which is very hands-on. The parents are doing, are heavily involved in the curriculum. Do you think that's something that we can implement that's, realistic to do when the top isn't healed? Because the bottom, Gen Alpha, blank slate, this is the time, right? But when the people who are raising them are what's our success rate?
Yeah, which is why actually we say sometimes the worst financial advisor you could have is your parent, because you
God.
don't know.
Because they wouldn't want to their traumas.
Yeah, they wouldn't. So actually, I agree with Latif in that the next generation has a head start because they're digital natives. You see, there's a plus and a minus there. Because they're digital natives, they can be an overwhelm of information. So where do I go? But because they're digital natives, they have access to that information. I would not rely on the government to help me with my money. I would rely on myself. But I don't think an unhealed mom or dad is the type to go and say, teacher said, give me 20 shillings from my 100. They'll just tell you, I don't have it.
Yeah.
Tell your teacher to give you that money instead. What is your teacher doing? Can they do their work? So the bottom has the best chance at financial freedom, actually.
I like Grace Derito's comment on YouTube. Can we have money conversations at the dinner table? It troubles me that there's no reference for good pay or bad pay. Let's define this at home. So it goes back to that. A lot of dinner conversations. The thing about things like money, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other matters that people struggle to bring up. Let's say, for example, I don't know, growth, growing pains, reproductive health. A lot of these things urgently need to be demystified and start early, because the repercussions that come when this person is a teenager. I think about girls, for example, in the space I'm in, who don't know that your period can make you pregnant. And it's a conversation that you can have on the dinner table about periods. But it's still shrouded in shame. And then when you look at the compounding factors of a rise in teen pregnancy, and then when I think about money, not that I'm trying to give it this also that escalation, but if you're not empowered, you then end up making really bad decisions. You end up moving with a crowd that doesn't serve you, you end up making decisions that don't serve you. So I like that dinner table reference. It's just how we just stripping away shame and stigma and having these kind of teacher.
I have a flip side about like money on the dinner table. I get the concept of making it commonplace. Let's talk about money anywhere, anytime, and we take away the shame or the whatever reservations we have about being open, even with numbers. And I'm thinking, then at what point do we make our lives circumvent around money? Because I'm thinking of an ideal world dinner table is, how was school today, Janet? What happened? What did teacher say? No. And school could be part of that money conversation, but I'm like, at what point do we because money is in everything, but is there time to kind of step away and just be like, okay, this is just time for checking in on you and how you are outside of the things that drive you and or your future successes or money. I don't know. I'm trying to find
100%. I like that. If you have dinner around the table, first of all, that's such a win. Not many people do that. That's already such a win. You don't have to talk about money Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can assign a day. Thursday, money dinners, Monday. Money Monday. Let's talk about money today. The other one, let's talk about our personal lives. The other one, let's talk about our goals. Because that's another thing I noticed in the conversations I have with my movers. People don't have a valid why. So you're putting money aside for a rainy day.
Yeah.
Can you account for what this rainy day would look like so that you know exactly how much you would need? Now, that's where an emergency fund comes from, for example. So someone like you, Mariam, who likes to just hoard, take that as a positive thing, but build a hoard fund, an emergency fund that can take you 6 months to a year if you did not have your income. That's how you start cultivating some of these things. So yes, let's have these money conversations, but instead of centering our lives around money, let's separate the days. And then one day could be about money. The other thing about money we don't talk about is health. You make all this money, you save all this money, you hold all this money, but you don't take care of your health enough to stretch how long you can live to enjoy that money. So let's also talk about health. So let's inject these principles into these money conversations around the table with structure, but also starting with a why. Why are we talking about money, kids? This is why. Why are we talking about health? This is why. Yeah. That's
There's
what I would say.
big sort of, danger or negativity that creeps in. And this is social media and the influencer culture. People who are living a certain life and you're thinking, wow, everybody, because that's all that this algorithm is serving, is just showing you everybody is living this way. It notices that you like this kind of content, so it just keeps showing you. So you're just seeing, this one spends 40K, she just come from a holiday with her family, and this is how they live. This other one is now gotten a new car, and they're driving this way. This one is, and you're just thinking, my God, how do I do it? Now imagine you're older and you're feeling that way. This young, impressionable teenager who is now starting to consume this content, and I think this is what life is. This is how life looks like. And there's no connection to this is the decision that you make to live this kind of life, or that this actually is not a real life. This is, a made-up life. That is a big impediment to financial literacy.
I agree. Consumerism, hyper-consumerism is taking over. And I don't know if, because there's a few of us influencers or thinkfluencers who probably, do very well, but I'll say a few things. One, you're responsible for your algorithm. I'm sorry to say that. I have to give you some tough love. If you follow someone who makes you feel some type of way, you can mute them, you can unfollow them, and you can actively follow and engage with pages that build you and pour into you. My algorithm, I don't see a lot of stuff. I don't see gossip. I just see, it's so boring, but it's beautiful boring. I see money, I see business, you're responsible for your algorithm too. By the time you're watching someone and feeling pressure, try and shift your mindset to, let me just unfollow and ask yourself, how are they truly able to afford the lifestyle that they're purporting? So trust, but verify. Ask yourself, if I want to get there, what are the steps I need to take to get there? So that it's not always a matter of they just give us pressure. No, it doesn't really work like that. Then, of course, go back to your goals. Have you set smart goals, even as a teenager, for your life in terms of where it is that you want to go? If you have smart goals, Eric, social media will be the last place to sway you. Because we said one of the issues with Kenyans is FOMO. FOMO takes you to where, FOMO takes you where. But if you have that goal and you know exactly where you're going, and you know how long it'll take to get there, social media might not be the place to sway you from your goals. You really have to. One of my favorite things nowadays, I say, is JOMO. You have to practice the joy of missing out. Get out. You're going for a party. Imagine I'm okay. It's okay. You don't have to justify anything. I'm home and happy. And I'm looking at my hoard account and I'm like, imagine I'm okay. It's really, really fine. And then also understanding, there are a few steps to getting to financial freedom, and it takes time. You have to be patient and disciplined. It takes time.
Kenyans are creative with how they make or create money. There's chamas, for example. In your words, what do you think is one money habit we get right and one that we might need to rethink?
I'll repeat what I said at the beginning. Hunger. I love how hungry Kenyans are. So it can lead us to the right direction or it can lead us to the wrong direction. So that hunger for knowledge, that hunger for more, that thirst to thrive and to buy that car or whatever, that is good. Now take that and structure that better, and start with your goals. When I say trust but verify, don't just invest in a money market fund because you've seen everybody else doing it. Find out what are the interest rates for this particular money market fund versus what it is that I need to make. So hunger is really, really, really great. Lack of verification is not great at all. And then now, after Eric mentioned consumerism, we have access to loans. So this is also really great. We have the information, but we have access to loans in ways that we've never had access before. Manage your debt. Manage that debt. You don't have to pick up a quick, I won't mention which platform, to get a loan, to pay back another loan, or to go on holiday, or to buy your car, or whatever. Manage that. Yeah.
I know we're running out of time, but I really wanted to ask, is there a testimonial that has stood out for you from your platforms, whether it's Money Monday, whether it's Move for Society? Is there one story that made you say, wow, that's an incredible breakthrough? A testimonial.
Like she probably lives with her jaw on the floor.
I know.
From, Money Mondays. Like whether it's the numbers, the stories, the nana, I'm just like...
A story that just blew your mind, good or bad?
A story that blew my mind was a lady who traveled abroad. I have to keep this very broad because, the thing with Money Monday, why it works so well is because it's anonymous. So I have to make sure...
You keep it anonymous.
And...
put it the way you posted it.
This one I was asked not to post.
Wow.
But she traveled abroad with the hopes of, work, blah, 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 and she ended up having to do sex work, okay? This lady, after I don't know how many years, after she was explaining what she went through and she showed me statements from her investments account, that for me was a testimony. She said she understood this from Money Monday and she started putting money aside and she's built a house. I can't say too much, but first, even just the fact that I have someone like that following me and talking to me, I was freaking honored. I was so honored that she felt that was a safe enough space for her to open up. That for me was the biggest testimony. It doesn't matter that you can do it, like if you really want to.
That's the win. That you have permission to allow yourself to say, I want to navigate towards a safer, healthier space with my money.
Right.
That touched me.
As we're ending, I want to end on a light note. Peculiar Kenyan money habits. Peculiar Kenyan money habits.
We're called peculiar.
Yeah, we are a peculiar people, so they say. But I know it's a it's a broad question.
Oh God, I've seen a lot of peculiar habits. Recently, we saw that women hide money from their husbands. Lots of money.
Is that a good idea?
I feel like anyway, to each their own.
Well, okay.
I feel like the most peculiar thing is how much we spend on transaction costs and we don't consider it a cost.
Okay.
That for me is very peculiar because it means you're not really looking at it. You've spent 55 shillings sending money to someone else, and you'll keep spending that 55 shillings if you're not. That for me is the most peculiar thing I've seen. We don't see it as a cost. It's just we pay a lot for convenience. Maybe that's what I can say for Kenyans. We like to pay for convenience.
But the convenience there, because there are other platforms that offer the same convenience without that charge.
Because
so
the convenience is staying on that same platform. Do you have the energy to move to
okay.
another platform to
All
start
those
over?
things.
All those things.
I think it comes down, for me, it still comes back down to the issue of financial literacy. And I'm big on this financial literacy because even when it comes to insurance matters, and I keep saying insurance penetration, it's the same.
2%.
Retirement and saving for retirement, it's the same. It's the relationship with money and the understanding that we have with money. Uko na pesa saa hii, haujui itakaa for how long. So you don't know what to do with it. So you just immediately just freeze and you become scared. And you don't know. So what decision do I make? And then now you go with the herd and you hear that these guys have this person who's coming and is telling them 19%, and you put in the money. Because we hear, this is how people end up getting conned. You put money into this thing, you didn't understand it, you've just been sitting back and asking, Ivy, you're the one who told us, so how watu wanalipa lini?
Exactly. There's a lot of that.
You have passed on, you've delegated your responsibility to this person who you've called your influencer. So it's them to do the homework and just to tell you, and when the money now gets lost,
Right.
you come back into, if we can get a way of just expanding just the thinking about money, and you do that very well with your Money Mondays and the conversations that you have, if you can get more and more, then we start fixing our relationship with money.
Right.
100%.
From the, I don't believe that you could make this much, or that you could do this much with 30K or 100 or nana, I think that's an amazing conversation to continue having. And thank you so much for the platform, on Instagram, but you've made it, it's now a society, and it truly is a mover society. What is Ivy's money mindset right now, or money personality right now? Is she healing from something, or is she transitioning into something as we close?
Ivy is moving from stability. So the way you move is you start at, let's say, living paycheck to paycheck, then you probably have some self-sufficiency, then some breathing room, then you move to stability, which is where I am now. I have enough saved up for a rainy day or blah, 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 blah. Then you move to flexibility, where you can take, let's even say, a year off work. Like you can take a sabbatical. So that's where I'm leaning towards.
Heading towards.
It would be my dream to step away from social media for a year and be okay. Then
Just
after that,
chill.
we move into financial independence, and then finally financial freedom, where money is no object.
Could you do the steps again?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
Start with being
Yes.
alive.
Start with being alive.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, so you start off where you're living, let's say, no, it starts with clarity. You know where you want to go and where you are, okay? Then you move to self-sufficiency. Let's say you've moved out of home and you're able to sustain a few bills, but you have a little bit of debt here and there. After self-sufficiency, you move into breathing room. Remember we talked about breathing room? You can breathe, and you've even started saving because you're starting to earn a little bit more. Once you started breathing, you move into stability. You're investing, you have an emergency fund, that type of thing. Stability then offers you flexibility. And when we talk about flexibility, I don't mean only money, but also time. Time. After you're flexible, you move towards being financially independent. And independence means the investments you've made are the ones paying you. So your fund is the one giving you a salary. Once you've gotten there, you become financially free.
Freedom.
Flexibility.
freedom.
Flexibility.
That's a good one. Joshua says debt management is a key to financial success. Pay up all your huge interest loans and adjust your life to fit your shoe in the interim as you grow your savings or investments.
Right.
I like that.
And I think Kimani had even, you said this earlier, financial literacy is a must for everyone. Savings and investment is not easy, but we keep fixing the nation, right? We absolutely love it. Thank you so much for your feedback. And of course, someone is asking if we should add it as a podcast on other platforms like Spotify. It absolutely is a podcast on Spotify. Okay. So immediately after this, if you get on Spotify, you'll be able to find this episode across Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere where podcasts
Where you
are
find
found.
your podcast,
Right.
we are there. Already the Dove Giatella conversation is there. Just Ivy's conversation will be uploaded shortly. And also you can come back onto YouTube and Facebook and you'll find the conversations. They will still be there. We thank you very much for joining us as the movement of fixers. Asante Sana on NTV, on Nation FM, on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and IG and now we have gotten Ivy's big you call them movers.
Yeah, I'm a mover. Now you're a mover.
Yes. Now tell your movers to become fixers as well. And
Yes.
we can become movers as well. Senior.
Asante.
All right.
Kabisa.